Good evening, Dolphins fans. Welcome to another episode of On the FinSide with Kat and Paul. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, all of our social media outlets, as well as the finfanatic.com website and the Fansided Network. I'm Brian Cat NFL. Paul is fanatic _pick on Twitter. Paul, the Dolphins won a football game today. 56 days. That's how long it's been since the Miami Dolphins have won a football game. They won today 17-9 over the Houston Texans. I mean, regardless, it feels good.
It does. And God, it's, on a day where the Jaguars didn't have to wait nearly as long for their own additional win against the Buffalo Bills, which also feels good. But no, there was a lot to like in this game, and I know you and I talked off the air. It feels like if Tua had played in this game, this would have been an absolute shellacking of the Texans.
I think it would have been worse than 17-9. I mean, it may have been 27-9, but yeah, I mean, the defense played phenomenal. And when you look at the game here and you actually look at the last two games now, I mean, against the Bills last week, the Dolphins held the Bills to 3 points and 3/4. And then in this game, it was they had 3 interceptions and a forced fumble in the first 3/4 and held the Texans to 6 points. I mean, it's starting to look like the Dolphins defense is taking shape a little bit.
It does. I mean, and what an opportune time then for the Jacoby Brissett versus Tyra Taylor bowl that we've all been waiting for years. I mean, good Lord, that's the game of the week right there. I'm surprised we weren't in prime time this week.
Yeah, I mean, here's the bad news, though. This looked like a very clear game between 1 and 7 teams. As an example, after the Dolphins and Jacoby Brissett went downfield to score their first touchdown, after that, the next drives looked like this: interception, fumble, 3 and out with a Matt Collins dropped punt and fumbled punt by Javon Holland, interception, punt, fumble, punt. I mean, what point, if you're the Dolphins defense, do you say, come on, can you at least do something offensively?
Well, all right, so I'm going to read my notes for the way the drives went. Jacoby Brissett was at quarterback. Brissett at quarterback. Javon Holland. Brissett at quarterback. We're good. Yeah, same thing. That's a typical Brissett game right there.
Yeah, it is a Jacoby Brissett game, and the only unlike thing for Jacoby Brissett is that he had 2 interceptions in this game. Because if there's one thing that he's known for, it's not throwing interceptions. But he did, and he had 2 bad ones. I mean, let's be honest. One of which he doinked off. His second one, he doinked off a defensive lineman to another defensive lineman. I mean,
look, Jacoby Brissett was literally Mike Gesicki's tremendous catch radius away from a 20-point less quarterback rating today. Let's face it. He just, you watch some of those balls, and Albert Wilson wouldn't have caught it if you hit him, but Wilson had a drop where the ball was so drastically behind him he had to leap backwards to try to grab it, and it bounced off his hands. But man, I'd almost rather have my kid at quarterback.
Jacoby Brissett, 26 for 43, 244, a touchdown and 2 interceptions, and he always seems to make the stat line look much better than what it actually is. And Kirk Merritt got deep today for what should have been a touchdown, and Brissett did not deliver it to him.
Brissett did not deliver much of anything today. I mean, good Lord, though, Mike Gesicki on the highlight reels today. I can't say enough good about this guy and how much we need to get him more involved.
Get him more involved and get him under contract.
Yes. And Agba, by the way, I do have a bone to pick with one of our listeners. I can't remember the name right now, but you remember who you are. When I said last week they needed to get Agba under contract and that he was worth the 13, 14 million, he got to pay dirt today, and it actually shows up in the stat box. He's been getting in there, getting pressure, getting hits on the quarterback. Today, it translated to the tune of 2.5 sacks, which really should have been 3. Just Jalen Phillips happened to trip over the guy on his way to the ground.
Yep. And Manuel Ogbon right now has 5 sacks on the year, and he's scheme versatile, plays in a 3-4, plays in a 4-3. And when you had Tyra Taylor back there, I mean, Emmanuel Ogbah completely ruined the game for the Texans. I mean, because when Tyra Taylor dropped back, Ogbah was in his face at 6'5" compared to Tyra Taylor at 5'10". Is that going to happen every game? Probably not. But Ogbah is at the very least a solid player and a scheme versatile player from down to down.
Yeah, and there was no more Jacoby Brissett play today than the camera audio or the broadcast audio picking up, "Hey, I'm going into the gun. I'm going into the gun," and then he drops back and just gets right away, just murdered. It was like, all right, well, at least he didn't throw a pick on that play.
Yeah, the defensive line played well in general. I mean, Jalen Phillips had probably his best game as a pro, as far as I'm concerned, because he was able to trail Tyra Taylor when he broke containment and got outside of the pocket. So good for him too. Defensively, I like what they did as far as their defensive ends. They had that 4-3 look. They pressed the pocket, and they also blitzed. They brought the blitz today, and according to PFF, 53% of the time they blitzed Tyra Taylor today. So,
and they looked like a good defense again. Wow. Huh. Better not do that next week.
They didn't just sit back and get pasted the entire time.
No, and it's their secondary allows you to blitz more often. If you don't, you're actually hurting the secondary as well. It's they built this to be a blitzing team with a secondary that can stick with people long enough for you to be able to get to the quarterback or blow plays up in the backfield. And if you don't do that, you're hurting all 3 levels of your defense. Period.
100% agree on that. It's blitz, great secondary. Blitz, great secondary. Blitz, great secondary. And the Dolphins got away from that when it mattered over the last couple of weeks. When you look at, I keep going back to, they held the Bills to 3 points at the end of the third quarter of that game. And then they stopped blitzing. Why did they stop blitzing? It really doesn't make sense. And they didn't stop blitzing in this game. And that's the reason I think they had so much success.
Yeah. There's a lot of things this year that I know I keep saying it, but games like this, you start to see that the personnel is there, and you look around the league and you see some of the personnel that this coaching staff has said, nope, this guy didn't work out about. And it's part of what leads me to believe that yes, Greer has had some misses, as do every GM and front office in the league. But it's part of what leads me to believe that this is coaching that has put us in this scenario. Because when they have actually utilized the talent the way that they should, the talent is there. It's there to hang with the Bills. It's there to hang with a lot of these teams.
I could not disagree more.
That is your right.
I mean, I could not disagree more because Chris Greer should be fired yesterday. When you look at what the Dolphins have drafted over the last couple of years, he should be fired yesterday. And I always think that it's a talent deficiency first, and then the coaching staff has made it worse after that. And when you look at what happened today, the reason the Dolphins could not put more than 17 points on the board is because the offensive line is not capable of blocking at an NFL level. Liam Eichenberg was an embarrassment today. He was destroyed every single freaking snap. It was terrible. Austin Jackson was his usual self, embarrassing. Jesse Davis, terrible at the right tackle position. 3 out of 5 offensive linemen on the Dolphins roster are embarrassing. And maybe you move Liam Eichenberg inside to left guard next year. But other than that, I don't know where you really go. And then at the running back spot, this is a team with the Texans that has allowed 5.3 yards a carry to opposing running backs on 195 carries throughout the year. Myles Gaskin, 20 for 37 today, or 20 for 34 and a touchdown on a Wildcat play. I mean, and Myles Gaskin can't break a tackle to save his life. The Dolphins should apologize to their fan base for not doing anything at the running back position or the offensive line over the last year.
So I'm glad you brought that up because I decided to just take a peek around the NFL at 3 guys I have stumped for in the last few drafts. 3 guys. Not first round picks. Only one went in the second round. The rest were third round or later. First one, A.J. Dillon. 5.8 yards per carry today, 11 yards per catch today. Second one, Ramondre Stevenson. 6.2 yards per carry today, 22 yards per reception. Third one, Eli Mitchell with the 49ers. He was one of those deep cut guys I was staring at and loving and adoring. 4.5 yards per carry today, 8.6 yards per reception.
And that's what happens when you draft running backs anywhere in the draft. And I can tell you with 100% certainty that Paul Picken has called out these players before the pre-draft process as guys that the Dolphins should look at. They didn't. Instead, the highest drafted running back is Chandler Cox over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not call out Chandler Cox. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Gaskin. I like Savon Ahmed. I think they could have roles with this team, even if you were to draft an A.J. Dillon or an Eli Mitchell or a Ramondre Stevenson. But you need somebody to be the guy. And, yeah, Stevenson and Dillon are a little more bruising backs, but they can be an every down back. As evidenced by their yards per reception today. I think Stevenson and Dillon both led their team in receiving today. Eli Mitchell is literally a triple threat back. And he also, I believe, if he didn't lead his team in receiving, he was second on the team in receiving today.
And Miles Gaskin could have been a very good number 2 running back
Oh, absolutely.
because he's a good receiving back. But when you get into a situation like today where the Texans could have been gashed against the run and you have 20 carries for 34 yards, that's when it gets to the point where it's a talent deficiency. And you couple that with the Dolphins offensive line, where 3 out of the 5 guys should not ever be on the football field. That's another problem. And
You want me to really piss you off right now, Kat?
yeah,
Jordan Howard averaged 4.2 yards per carry with 71 rushing yards today.
not a surprise. Not a surprise because Jordan, there was a report that came out. I can't remember from who, but the that Chan Gailey told Jordan Howard basically his first day there that he was not a good fit in the offense. And of course, Matt Breida. Where's Matt Breida now? Matt
Inactive
Breida,
on Buffalo's roster.
Walmart Breida.
Oh, he's. I think he's still inactive for. 8 out of. I don't know. Most of the games for Buffalo this year.
Let's get to the good news. The Dolphins won a football game today. And
Yes.
Mike Gesicki is going to be on every single NFL network throughout the entire week based on what he what he did today.
Up until the Dolphins take the field on Thursday Night Football this week in primetime.
Well, we'll see. Gesicki had 2 unbelievable one-handed catches today.
Almost a third. He almost had a third.
Yeah, he almost had a third on a 3rd and 4. And that would have put basically the game out of reach. Mike Gesicki needs to be re-signed today. And if he's not, that he's got to get the franchise tag, which for a tight end in the NFL is going to be $13 or $14 million a year. I mean, this guy is a star. And Jalen Waddle's a star too. I mean, 8 catches, 83 yards today, which doesn't sound like much, but I feel bad for Waddle because his ability to separate is unique. It really is. And I feel like he's going to get the Ted Ginn treatment from the Dolphins fan base, including myself, because he may cost the Dolphins a top 3 to 5 pick in next year's draft.
Yeah. It's. Yeah.
But sure. I mean, Gesicki and Waddle are the 2 players that the Dolphins need to keep long term. Do we agree on that?
Absolutely, 100%. Oh, sorry, you're drinking your coffee.
Yeah, I am.
I was too quick on the answer here.
And the Dolphins also need to stop jerking themselves around at the offensive tackle position. Get 2 offensive tackles, okay? And shove Liam Eichenberg into left guard, and at right guard, have Robert Hunt there, because that's what the Dolphins want to do. And then at center, if you want to get somebody that's an upgrade, fine. But Greg Mance and Michael Dieter, Ted Karras even last year.
Yeah.
There was not a problem at center. How many times have we done the show where center was a problem? Never. Offensive tackle is a problem every single week, and it almost ruined the game and almost led to the Dolphins losing to the Houston Texans today. Don't let it happen again. And it's a beefy NFL draft in 2022 at the offensive tackle position, and it's also a beefy free agent class with Orlando Brown, Teron Armstead, several other players at the offensive tackle spot.
Yeah, no, give them that Will Fuller money. Give them the Will Fuller money. Let's go. Um, Sorry, I was just getting myself disgusted again that I need to stop looking at things like this.
Will
So
the exercise bike filler?
Eli Mitchell is actually outrushing Javonte Williams on less carries right now this year.
Yeah. Javonte Williams is still a talented back too. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Sixth round Eli Mitchell was it?
Yep.
Fifth, sixth.
Yep.
Where's our fifth?
Louisiana. Yep.
No, not even Louisiana. Like Louisiana Lafayette. You know, like it. It's not even full blown Louisiana. It's sub that.
I mean, Miles Gaskin and Savon Ahmed are children. That's why they ran 24 times for 40 yards today against a Texans run defense that allowed 5.3 yards a carry to the rest of the NFL. I mean, I'm looking at why was Adrian Peterson out in no man's land for so long? Hmm? I mean, Adrian Peterson was the reason why the Titans had balance today and beat the Rams.
You know who else is doing a better job than Miles Gaskin? Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, Chuba had a couple of big plays today.
Devontae Booker.
So
Michael Carter. Michael Carter as well. God.
So the synopsis on offense is that you should re-sign Mike Gesicki long term, and Jalen Waddle is a stud, but he's probably
at least 3 more years. Sorry, just do it. I don't care if that he's 29 years old.
Yeah. I'm actually going to push back on that a little bit.
No, you're not.
3 years, 45 million based on the cap number. The Dolphins have 60 million next year. Maybe. He's a good player and he's done well for the Dolphins. So I'm not completely against that, but I don't want to go further than that. On the defensive side of the ball, though, Paul, Javon Holland.
Don Watkins in our chat said, "Let Mike Gesicki walk. We can save money by not paying at tight end and just drafting, and let." I'll agree with you. Let Smythe walk, but you don't let a receiving talent like Gesicki walk if you can help it, unless he's asking for the moon.
Mike Gesicki is a star, and Hunter Long was drafted in the 3rd round this year, and he's inactive here today. Unfortunately, and where's Ethan Carter, by the way?
He's at home washing his tights.
3 years, they signed him to he's making 2.5-3 million this year. Why did they prioritize tight end this much when you had decent tight ends in Durham Smythe and Adam Shaheen already? It makes no sense. Hunter Long. Yep. But the Dolphins defense did play well today. And they played well last week too.
They did. I'm very happy with this defense when they use them correctly. Hopefully they learn from today and continue to do that moving forward. It's because if this team can play defensively the way they did today, this could be a fun team to watch down the stretch. And we've got San Francisco's 1st round pick, not ours. So let's go. Let's root for the win, even if it slides our 2nd round pick down a little bit. Because at the end of the day, it's San Francisco that needs to tank for us.
Mm-hmm. And the offensive tackle class in the draft is looking pretty solid right now, with Evan Neal from Alabama and 3 or 4 other players that we're going to talk about when the draft process rolls around. So the Dolphins are going to play the Ravens on Thursday in a few days in Miami. And then they play the Jets, they play the Panthers, they play the Giants bye week, and then the Jets again. I'm going to go back to something that you didn't say, but the Dolphins could run off a couple of games here if you look just strictly at the schedule.
Yeah, 100%. It's if Miami can come out and play defensively, and Lamar Jackson plays like he did today. Yeah, he's going to get some rushing yards. He's absolutely going to get some rushing yards. That's what he does. But he threw some pretty bad interceptions today. He has not been playing like Lamar Jackson this year. And if Miami's able to force him to make some bad throws on the run, this could be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, it has to be the first half Lamar Jackson where the Vikings were pounding them. Ravens ended up winning that game 34-31. But this is where it starts to matter, because if the Dolphins can win this game on Thursday, and I don't think they will, and I will predict that it will be a blowout in favor of the Ravens. If the Dolphins get to 3-7, then you got the Jets, the Panthers, the Giants bye week, and then the Jets again. I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to win those games. I'm not saying they're going to win any of those games, but it gives us something to watch on Thursday night.
It does, and I think it's going to be a fun one. But Kat, before we forget, let's hop into these grades here, because let's break down this win and enjoy it a little bit.
Yeah,
although the first two positions are not going to be pretty.
Quarterback, I'm going to go Jacoby Brissett. I'm going to go with a C-.
I'm going to go with a D for Brissett. Too many turnovers. He was saved on a lot of bad throws by good plays. And geez, I mean, like his doink off the defensive lineman's helmet to another defensive lineman, the fumbles, not good enough, but Miami around him was able to rise to the occasion. And not at the next position we're about to grade either.
Yeah. Running back, I'm going to go with a D-.
I am right there with you. They finally gave the carries to Gaskin, and he showed them absolutely why they shouldn't. 20 carries for 1.7 yard average, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Not good enough.
Not good enough. 24 carries for 40 yards against a really bad run defense in the Texans. Wide receiver and tight end, I'm gonna throw it to you first.
Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, they deserve an A. The rest of the core, other than maybe Mac Hollins, who did have a drop. So I'm going to go with a B+ here, because Mike Gesicki and Jalen Waddle definitely deserve a good grade. Mac Hollins, they started to get him involved. He made a beautiful play on that touchdown where he got held up and tripped and still made the play. Did a great job blocking today as well. For some reason, they still continue to try to force feed Adam Shaheen, Durham Smythe, and Albert Wilson needlessly. Kirk Merritt could have had a huge game today, so I can't fault him. So I'll go with a B+ here.
I'm going to go with a B for him. Albert Wilson should not be on the football field. Kirk Merritt did get deep for what should have been a touchdown, but he also dropped a third down pass that was not acceptable for a player that should be making those plays if he's on the field at that point in the game. Mike Gesicki is phenomenal, and he should be signed as far as the eye can see. Jalen Waddle, I feel bad for. Yeah, I really feel bad for at this point because he's going to be known as the guy that the Dolphins spent 2 top 6 picks on. Overall, B. Offensive line, D minus. I mean, Liam Eichenberg should be a left guard. And I hate to keep going back to the arm length, but Gregory Rousseau dominated him. Josh Allen dominated him. Today, he was dominated again. He gets pushed off his spot every single time when he plays. Austin Jackson at left guard, he's better left guard than left tackle, but that's not saying much. And Jesse Davis is terrible. He's always been terrible. So D minus.
I'm going to go with an F plus here. Austin Ryder deserves a good grade, which is why they get the plus. Robert Hunt wasn't horrible. The rest of the line, Eichenberg definitely played better than Jackson and Davis, which isn't saying a lot. Jackson and Davis, there was one play, and I know you and I talked about this off the air, where I would literally be yelling at 7-year-olds because they just turned, watched 2 defenders go 1 through each, come in and just paste Jacoby Brissett, and then just stood there like, "Oh, you good, buddy? You should probably get up now and call the huddle." Like,
and how bad do you have to be to feel bad for Jacoby Brissett? Pretty bad.
I still don't feel bad for him, but
the Dolphins still did win the football game today. 56 days, they ended that streak. Let's look at the defensive side of the ball because that's the reason that they did it. Defensive line, Emmanuel Ogbah, 2.5 sacks. And Jalen Phillips on the other side showed great containment throughout the day. At defensive tackle, Zach Sealer gave a great push. Christian Wilkins continues to be a better football player, much to my surprise, in his third year. Raekwon Davis also did well. So that 5-man line with Ogbah, Raekwon Davis, Zach Sealer, Jalen Phillips, and one player that I am forgetting here,
Christian Wilkins,
doing well this year, but they haven't been able to put it together at the same time, and they did today. And you couple that with the blitzes, very good. So I'm going to go with an 8 with a B plus for him.
I'm going with a straight up A. Absolutely no qualms whatsoever. They put pressure on the quarterback today. They did well in the running game today. It's outside of Tyra Taylor and 2 carries by Rex Burkhead. The Texans had 12 carries for 39 yards.
18 carries for 73 yards overall. I mean, good day. So
yeah,
maybe I was a little bit too harsh there.
Yeah, no, I mean it's when you look at how badly we graded the offense overall, this D line was the start of what really made this game for the Dolphins.
Yeah. Linebacker, I'm going to throw it back to you.
The run game stuff we talked about, a tremendous heads-up play by Jerome Baker in this one, who has taken some unnecessary brutality from Dolphin fans recently. I'm going to go with an A- for the linebacking core. I have no issue with anything I saw from them today.
Yeah.
Sacks by AVG. Yeah, let's go.
Andrew Van Ginkel did have his first full sack of the year, so now he's got 1.5 on the year. Baker did have the game-changing play, no doubt about that. When he tucked his feet back in, caught that interception, The Dolphins then went up 17-6 after Brissett connected with Mac Hollins. Yeah, that was it. I mean, the end result was 17-9 Miami Dolphins. So, yeah. Overall, though, Landon Roberts did okay. He was not gashed as much as he usually would have been against a better running game. And Baker exhibited today why he should be blitzing or in coverage a lot instead of just sitting back like a sitting duck and getting hit on run plays. So I'm going to go with a B overall. Secondary, I'm going to throw it back to you on that too.
I really like what the secondary did today. I mean, you look at other than Brandon Cooks, their receiving core was pretty ineffective in this one. We had Coleman, who I can't stand, did have an interception in this one. Javon Holland played a great game. Brandon Jones played a great game. Eric Rowe forced a fumble. This is another group that's going to get an A from me in this game.
Probably deserved too. I mean,
definitely.
Tyra Taylor heading into this game against the Dolphins defense, 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And in this game, 24 for 43, 240 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And the secondary has a lot to do with that. And the biggest play of the game was by Javon Holland. Because the Dolphins in their first drive went 3 and out. They did not move the ball literally 1 yard. And then the Texans drove the length of the field. And then Tyra Taylor threw the ball to Brandon Cooks over Xavier Howard's shoulder. Javon Holland sniffed it out and picked it off. It was a very instinctive play.
On a play where Taylor was rushed by Brandon Jones blitzing.
That's right. Good for them. So, given the secondary effort, given the stats, everything, I'm going to go with an A- for him.
All right, Cal, what's your special teams grade?
Special teams, let's see. Jason Sanders nailed a field goal. Mike Pilardi did a very good job. Javon Holland had one good return, but also fumbled another one. I'm going to go with a B+.
Yeah, I was going to say Javon Holland's fumble could have been game-breaking for the Dolphins, so that does pull this down a full letter grade to a B for me. But yeah, no, and I'll even be nice, Kat. I'll give you first dibs on player of the game and Coke Bus player of the game this week.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Player of the game, Mike Gesicki, because of the catches that he had. He had 2 one-handed catches, and they were meaningful too because they put points on the board. He didn't have a lot of yards, but when he had those one-handed catches, it wasn't just, BS type of stuff. He actually put points on the board for him. As far as Coke Bus player of the game,
you pick one, I'll take the other. You know who I'm talking about.
I'm going to go with Liam Eichenberg because not good enough. I mean,
he wasn't even our worst tackle today.
Yeah. But I disagree. Liam Eichenberg was worse than Jesse Davis today, in my opinion.
Oof. Well, my Coke Bus player is going to argue with your Coke Bus player, I think, then. Because I have Jesse Davis firmly on the Coke Bus on a day where Jacoby Brissett turned the ball over how many freaking times. Because at the end of the day, Jesse Davis is supposed to be a veteran starter and a captain out there. And if he's leading the way, that's a crappy path to follow right now. Whiffing and not even looking guilty about it, just watching the quarterback get pasted, not even trying to recover, not hitting somebody else, just pulling his Steve Urkel, did I do that impression? Ugh, ugh. Jesse Davis is firmly putting his big ass on the Coke bus this week. As far as player of the game goes, I like Gesicki. I do. But I've got to throw this to Jerome Baker. I almost went Emmanuel Ogbah on a day where he had 2.5 sacks, but Jerome Baker made a couple of good plays and then really had that heads up and, as you put it, game-breaking play with the presence of mind to establish his feet in bounds and basically time it perfectly to lean forward while toe tapping and pick the ball off to put the Dolphins in position for their second touchdown of the day to go into the halftime with a big lead. 100% veteran leadership, heads up play by Jerome Baker to turn this game heavily in Miami's favor. Easily can give him the player of the game. And there's a lot of folks on defense that we could talk about with that.
I thought that I was giving you a layup with Emmanuel Ogbah.
You did, but
and you didn't take it.
Nope. I don't like layups. Dunk that thing.
2 players are free agents next year. Mike Gesicki and Emmanuel Ogbah. And the Dolphins better re-sign both of them and get players on the roster who do well.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. So, Kat, anything else you want to throw out there before we wrap up?
No, that's it. The Dolphins won today, and they're going to play in 4 days now against the Ravens on Thursday Night Football, and we are going to preview that game as well. That's going to do it for our breakdown of the Dolphins-Texans game here. The Dolphins win 17-9. I'm Brian Cat NFL on Twitter. Paul is Fanatic_pick. And you can also follow us on the FinSide on Facebook, Twitter, all of our social media outlets. I'm starting to get a little gassed now.
It happens.
Facebook, Twitter,
iTunes,
FinFanatic.com website, as well as
YouTube, iTunes, iHeartRadio, all those fun places.
iHeartRadio.
And make sure you like and subscribe, guys.
Like and subscribe. And if it's not on the right side and it's not on the left side, it is on the fin side.